Our verse today is Romans chapter 8, verse 7. For the mind that is set on the flesh is hostile to God, for it does not submit to God's law. Indeed, it cannot. Yesterday we reflected on the difficulty in doing the good we desire. We always need to have a good and holy desire to combat the evil tendency in us. Today we continue our reflection along that line. In chapter 8, Paul discusses individual topics, but the main theme centers around the work of God's Spirit, who enables the believer to conquer the power of sin, especially if you read from verses 1 to 17. He constantly refers to the work of the Spirit as against the works of the flesh. Our verse says, "For those who live according to the flesh set their minds on the things of the flesh." Let us begin by understanding what Paul means by the mind and flesh. Phronema, translated as mind, means mindset, way of thinking, outlook, aim, or aspiration or striving. Sarx, on the other hand, translated as flesh, means not just the human body composed of bone and flesh, but the seat of the sexual or inordinate passion. It is that sensual power which is opposed to the Spirit of God in the person. Therefore, the flesh is our human desire and action, which is not the plan of God. Paul says that the mind set on the things of the world, that is on the flesh, is hostile to God. In other words, the person is at enmity with God. James put it very bluntly. Do you not know that friendship with the world is enmity with God? Therefore, whoever wishes to be a friend of the world makes himself an enemy of God. James 4, verse 4. Paul says in another place, the natural person does not accept the things of the Spirit of God, for they are folly to him, and he is not able to understand them because they are spiritually discerned. 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 14. For the mind to conform to God, it has to be set on the things of God. The mind set on the things of the flesh does not submit to God's law. God's law could refer to the Decalogue or the will of God generally. Jesus summarizes the law as love of God and love of neighbor. This love entails love of God with all the heart, the soul, the strength, and the mind, and love of neighbor as oneself. Read Luke chapter 10, verse 27. The mind has to be set on God's law. That means the love of God. In that way, it will not be at enmity with God or hostile to God. Can we say that our minds are set on God's law always? That calls for a personal reflection. Lord, may our minds be set on the love of you and love of neighbor. Amen. God bless you, and I wish you a pleasant day.